Greetings, mortals! It is I, Remortis, and today we are back with another Civilization 7 guide. This time we'll be covering the absolute most important unit in the entire game when it comes to combat, your army commander. This is very reminiscent of the great generals that we were able to acquire in Civilization 6, which was just a civilian unit that had a decent aura that you would have it run alongside your troops. It gave him better movement as well as a combat power. However, the army commander can provide those bonuses, but much more beyond that. And we'll be talking about all of that, as well as the other abilities that they possess, and the various ways you can utilize your army commander to their fullest, so that you can really dominate the battlefield. Alright, enough of all this, let's just get right into it, shall we? So now in Civ 7, the commander is a support unit that actually can directly involve them in the battlefield. We can use them to maneuver our troops a lot easier, or also give them more combat prowess. And in Civ 7, only the army commanders can acquire experience. Your troops no longer do that. However, to offset that, the army commander has way more skills and can really customize them how you desire, as you can see through the skill tree here. But we'll go ahead and take a look at this in a moment. First, let's go over some of their abilities. So one way to utilize your army commander is that you can actually pack your units inside your commander, then they'll march alongside them. It's a really good way to help maneuver your big forces along a battlefield. So you can either manually join the commander by clicking the Add to Army button here, or if the commander has movement available, or the units that you want to join your army have movement available as well, you can select the Assemble Army button, and we'll just scoop them all up, and there we are. And then we can continue on marching if we still have more movement. See, they all march along. So this is actually a really good way to get a lot of your units have a little bit more mobility, as our commander has a default movement speed of 3 movement. So for slow-moving units, such as your infantry or your siege weapons, this is a really good way to get them around to where they need to be. So just as we can have our units join our armies, we can have them disembark from it as well. So you can just start by manually selecting one of our units and then hitting the Leave Army button, and then you select where they land. Alternatively, you can also use the Deploy Army button, and it'll do its best to surround the target that you're aiming towards. So if this unit was occupied right here, we can go ahead and just plop it down, and then all the units will go out. However, because there is no unit there, they will try to spread out as they can. And sometimes you got to be careful how you do this, because sometimes you'll put your range units on the front line, just like we did right here. And unfortunately, now we use all of our movement, so we can't use our focus attack. But we can see if we can try to knock out this commander. Another thing to note, though, is even though we had troops alongside us, as he does right here as well, if you were to attack the commander, they have no defenses or combat strength, so it's just free damage at that point, which is usually a really good priority target here. So as you can see, we're about to defeat this enemy commander, and he has troops inside of him, and once we defeat him, they will all jump out, as you can see. Another thing to note, though, too, is as you deploy your troops out of your commander, so one thing that's really crucial about your commander as well is when you deploy your troops out of the commander, they normally cannot attack right away, unless you have this promotion for Assault. Another thing to note, too, is if you were trying to maneuver your commander in a certain position with some troops inside of him, another thing to note is as you're trying to maneuver your commander into a certain location, if you have troops with you as well, unless you still have available movement, they cannot leave your party. So as you can see, even though he has movement space inside the commander, he cannot actually jump off. So that's just something to be wary of. So try to avoid walking onto rough terrain or going into zone of controls, which will actually prevent you from deploying properly, as well as using your other abilities. So another really neat thing that the commander can do is an ability called Reinforce. So if you have an army commander anywhere on the battlefield that's far enough away, and you have troops that are maybe in your city or elsewhere, I believe they have to be in your territory to at least reinforce. But we can go ahead and select the Reinforce button here, find the commander we want to put them in, and after a few turns, they will reappear at your commander. When they are in the middle of reinforcing your army, they will not be on the map. This is dictated by how far or close they are to your unit. So as we So as you can see, currently we have 5 turns remaining on this warrior, but we're going to move closer to where he came from, which was this city up here. And that should lower down to 4 turns, now that we are a little bit closer. So that's another thing that you can consider as you're continuing stampeding around the battlefield with your army. The commander also has access to some interesting abilities here. If you look on our bottom here, we can actually give orders to our troops. We can order a target to start being a defensive perimeter, or we can do a focus fire attack, which we have a variant for range attacks as well as melee. And what this will do, it'll target any nearby valid unit to attack that target. And you also get a little boost to damage. So right here, we have 2 slingers available, and there's a target right here. They should both be able to hit it here because they don't have any vision issues. We're going to use our focus fire here, and both slingers should attack this warrior unit right here. Look at that. Of course, they both did it simultaneously. Other units will sometimes take their turn to actually hit them. And then we're going to do another focus fire on this warrior unit right here, and we should have enough experience to level up. And this is where things get quite interesting, as our army commander has their own special level up screen, and we have a few different paths we can go down. And each of these trees allow you to build your army commander in different ways. Bastion typically centers around defenses, whether out in the open with your fortifications, such as like the fortifications right here, like the makeshift ones, or defending in your own cities or settlements. With their final upgrade, allowing you to heal whenever they attack. Assault, which I think is probably one of the more important trees to have, at least for this very first point here, called Initiative. Units that can move after unpacking from this commander. And then the rest of the tree will be about increasing the strength of your armies. The left side of the tree will be for your infantry and cavalry, whereas your right side of the tree will be ranged and siege weapons. The capstone ability called Advancement, which will allow all of your infantry and cavalry to gain extra combat strength when they're at full health. The logistics tree is really nice, as it will allow you to gain gold whenever you have your units packed up inside your commander, or you can also just have that commander just relaxing at a district in one of your cities to help get a little more production towards producing your units. And here's probably the second most important ability that the army commanders can get, is called Regiments, which will allow you to more unit slots, as well as faster recruitment for this commander. So the +2 unit slots is going to be really nice for having a maximum sized army, because typically you can only have 4 troops on you at all times, but this will allows us to go to 6. Moving on down the tree, we also get Field Medic, which will allow us to gain a little bit extra healing whenever we're in enemy or neutral territory. This is going to be really nice, especially if you're on the offensive. Whereas with this skill, you can also increase your looting from pillaging. With the Capstone, allowing you to get double bonuses from different terrains, such as being on top of mountains or in forests, just to name a few things. And the Maneuvering tree is all about moving and getting around your opponents. Who would have thought? This will typically allow you to ignore some terrain restrictions, such as, going on hills. It typically costs you 2 movement points. This will reduce that by 1. We also can affect our abilities to get flanking bonuses, which when we have multiple units on our side surrounding a unit, we'll get a flanking bonus, while also reducing their flanking bonus when they're around our commander. Then we also can get ways to modify our attacks when we're on rough terrain, or if we're going from our river, for example, and embarking or disembarking, and say we're trying to do an amphibious raid, similar like Normandy style, we'll get a little bit of bonuses to that. Or rather, we get a reduction to our reductions, so that's really nice. With the Capstone providing your zone of control for your commander around his little aura, which is not super crazy. The Leadership tree focuses on passive buffs to your allies, as well as a few other things. So right off the bat, we get Zeal here. By just stationing us in a district, we'll get 5% to all yields. This can be pretty impactful in the later stages of the game. Field Commission will allow you to upgrade your units, even if you're not in friendly territory, and they also get healed, similarly to how you used to level up back in Civ 6. So now when you upgrade your warriors to spearmen, or whatever variant you might have from your Civ, you'll get a little bit of healing on top of that, as well as being able to do it outside of your towns. So that's pretty nice. The next tier of the tree, we get Old Guard, which will add +10 combat strength for the commander when he's defending, because otherwise he does not have an attack, so it's just free damage on him most of the time. And then Resilience will reduce the time it takes for your commander to recover. So if your commanders do perish, they will come back after a time, and this will just reduce that even further. And there are some mementos and other abilities in the game that will further reduce that. The capstones for the leadership trees will enhance your focus fire ability as well as your coordinated attack. So each of these trees are quite nice and lets you have a variety of ways to play as your commander. And then lastly, we also can get commendations as we unlock points in our... Once we unlock one of the capstones here, we'll be able to unlock a commendation point. And each of these are little buffs here that will affect your commander in different ways. Moving on with the first commendation here, we got Valor. Gain the second wind commander ability. Grants a land unit within the command radius 1 extra attack and restores 2 movement points. This is really nice for a really hard-hitting unit, such as a range attacker or whatever unit you so desire. Duty will gain the heroic assault ability, dealing direct damage to a unit in the command radius that has the same domain as the commander. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Service is simply just +1 movement to land units within the command radius. That's always nice, especially if you need more high mobility. Merit will increase our command radius, so instead of a 1 tile aura, we'll have a 2 tile aura, which is quite nice. And then Order is really solid to just give us a flat aura bonus. So pretty much if you combine the Merit and Order, it's essentially going to be the same bonuses we had from our Great Generals from before. However, if you combine it with Assault upgrades, we get an additional +2 or +3, whatever the unit is. And that is the different leveling trees. So if you see the soldier here, we cannot actually get next to this unit to be able to attack it this turn. We get either stuck on the cliff or we try to path across the river. However, we have our commander on top of this cliff here, and we can just jump inside him and then immediately deploy ourselves and attack the target from the other direction, thanks to the initiative advancement. Pretty neat stuff here. So utilizing your army commander to its fullest can give you some new ways to interact with your armies, as well as defeating your opponents. Whether it be the ability to quickly deploy your troops in different locations, or using the various abilities you have available to you. Army Commander, I think, is a really awesome addition to Civ 7, and I'm really looking forward to seeing ways that we can really take advantage of it. It does feel weird not having our troops level up, but I do really like the way that they're going with the Army Commander. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe for more guides like these. Or tell me how much you miss your units leveling up down below in the comments as well. Either way, again, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you guys in the next video. Farewell for now.